There are two major ways your users are going to enter information into a SharePoint list. The first way is they'll simply open the list and start to type. They'll see it in Datasheet view and enter information. So that's one decent way to do this. However, not all lists allow Datasheet view, and normally we'd like people to have a better user experience. We'd like them to use a form. And you might wonder, well, where would I get this form from? The good news is that every time that you're creating a list or a library, Microsoft SharePoint is creating the form for you. It actually creates 3 versions of a form. If we take a look at our employee onboarding list that we've been using, there were 4 fields that were added, and there was 1 existing field whose name was changed. The default title field was changed to employee name, and then 4 different date fields were added. And here's the form that was created for entering new items here in SharePoint. Let's take a look at something that's a little bit more complex. Let's take a look at our issues list. Let's take a look and see what happens when we add a new item. We get a very complex form full of bells and whistles, date pickers, add buttons, and so on, because this exists as a built-in form for a built-in SharePoint list. Another great reason to say, I'd like to use an existing list as the core of a custom list I want to create. But here's the form as it appears when it's new. A version of that form is the version that we see when we choose to edit the item. It's not exactly the same form, but it's very, very close. So here it is. It has a space to provide information about versioning and when things were changed and created. That's the biggest difference between this form and the existing form. And there's yet a third form in addition to the new and edit forms called the display form. And it is the form that we're going to see when we simply click on the item's hyperlink and we display the form without the ability to do any editing. So again, all 3 of these have been created simply by us creating a new list, 3 new forms. Whenever we add fields to a list, its forms are automatically changed and modified by SharePoint. Now, you can make these forms more beautiful if you wish. That's not the content of this course, but if you're interested, I want to recommend Simon Allardyce's SharePoint Designer 2010 Creating Data-Driven Web Pages course. Chapter 6 is all about customizing these forms that have been created for you in SharePoint. So if this is all you need for the particular workflow that you're creating, feel free to rely on these forms that are already created for you. You have no investment in them. They're very quick to use, easy to create, conform to the Windows standards, and most users will have a fine time using them.